Saturday sees Eddie Howe take charge of Newcastle United for the first ever time, and there's been a lot of talk about who is going to be in his first ever 11 for Newcastle United and what formation the team are going to play as well. So let's get into it. I've come up with 3 potential formations and lineups that Eddie Howe might use in the match against Brentford on Saturday. Have a look at them, see if you agree with me or disagree with me, or if you think I'm totally wide of the mark and he'll go with something completely different. Let's begin then with this first formation here. So as you can see in this formation, I think Eddie Howe's brought back Dubravka in goal. I think Darlow's done a good job as stand-in, but if your best keeper is available, then you have to play him. I think that one goes without saying, and you'll see that in each of these formations I've put Dubravka in goal. Now, the defence is where it starts to get more interesting. Obviously, all season long Newcastle have been playing 5 at the back or 3 at the back with 2 wing-backs, whatever you want to call it. But I think Eddie Howe is much more likely to play 4 at the back. If you look at his record with Bournemouth across the years, most of his teams played 4 at the back. He did experiment a little bit with 3 at the back, and I'll come on to that a little bit later on in the video. But ultimately, he likes 4 at the back. As you can see here, he's got Lewis on the left, Manquillo on the right, and then a central partnership of Lascelles and Fernandez. I think that's because Kieran Clark needs to be dropped. I don't think he's up to standard. He's a good, honest pro, but I just don't think he's up to it. Lewis will probably come in. He's had a very good week internationally. I wasn't sure whether to put him in or actually whether Matt Ritchie might start at left back because Howe trusts him and he has played there a little bit as well, of course. But I think Lewis has had a really good week with Northern Ireland, and I think that he might actually come into the team now as a first choice left back. Lascelles and Fernandez. Fernandez, in my opinion, the best defender we have at the club and should be in the centre of the defence. And as you can see, I've put Fabian Schär just in front of that back 4. And the reason that Lascelles is still in there really is because, firstly, I don't think Eddie Howe's going to drop the captain for the first ever game. He'll give his captain, the captain of the club, the start, and I think Lascelles will partner Fernandez in this example, and Fabian Schär will be the defensive midfielder in front of the back 4, which is something we absolutely crave. We are desperate for a midfielder to kind of protect that back line a little bit. We got a little bit tricky trying to figure out which of the central midfielders would get the start in this particular formation. So obviously there's Longstaff, Hayden and Shelvey. Now I think you can rule Shelvey out in my opinion. It might be that Shelvey's impressed in training, and let's be honest, on his day, Shelvey probably is the best midfielder in that position that we do have at the club, which says a lot really. Hayden, much more defensive minded in my opinion, but with this particular formation, it's already quite defensive. If he plays this kind of 4-1-4-1 formation, then I think Longstaff would get the nod over Hayden just because he's a little bit more attack minded, and I think that because you'd have Schär in front of the defence, you can afford to not play Hayden in this scenario. And then obviously we've got St Max and Almiron causing problems down the left and right wing. I think Almiron, there's an argument that Almiron could play off Wilson up front. I get that, and I think that's a completely understandable argument. In fact, Joe Linton and Almiron in this formation could be in opposite positions. I do think Joe Linton's going to get a start, and this isn't because of anything I've said. I just believe that Joe Linton offers something to this team that Eddie Howe would have spotted in him. And I think from what I can tell from the last 2 weeks, everything that I've understood and read, it seems like Joe Linton is impressing. He's come on in the last few games as well. Impressed, done all right. And he is the one player who can hold the ball up. Now, Eddie Howe loves a team who can attack quickly, but in order to do that, you need someone who's able to hold the ball up in transition so that other players can come up and play alongside him. If you look at Eddie Howe's past, he quite often likes sort of two forwards, one further up the pitch and one almost with back to goal linking play up, and I think Joe Linton can fill that slot. So that's my first formation. Let's move on to the second formation. So this one's a much more rigid kind of 4-4-1-1 formation rather than a 4-1-4-1. The back 4 are the same, so we've still got Lewis at left back, Lascelles, Fernandez, Manquillo as your back 4, but instead of having Schär kind of defending in front of the back 4, you've then got 2 central midfielders in Hayden and Willock. Now, Willock, if he's fit, I think might get the nod in this type of formation because Hayden can be more defence-minded. He can be that 5th man who can drop back a bit and Willock can push forward. Hence why the balance with those 2 is a bit better. Clearly, this comes down to fitness as well. Hopefully, Willock is getting fitter all the time and is ready to play a match. In this formation, you've also got Ritchie and Almiron on the wings. Then you've got St Max in a free role behind Wilson, and I think that's a possibility. Now I know St Maximin's strength from what we've seen isn't in a free role behind the striker. He tends to be better played on the wing, and maybe that's what he'll go for in the end. But what I do think is that Eddie Howe trusts Matt Ritchie, and I could see Matt Ritchie starting either at left back in the 4-1-4-1 formation that I showed a minute ago, or on the left-hand side of a 4-4-1-1 formation. That leaves St Max really in the only kind of role he can play in that way is a free role. Let's be honest, with some good coaching and a bit of advice and a bit of belief in himself, there's no reason why St Maximin can't play that role. As I said previously, we know that Eddie Howe likes to play with 2 forwards. Wilson will be up top, there's no doubt about that. We don't really need to have a discussion there. It's who plays behind him, who plays off him. And in this particular formation, I think St Maximin in the free role would be perfect. And obviously, he would go left, he would go right, he would be hard to track and monitor. So that's another possible formation that I think Eddie Howe might go for. So let's have a look at the third formation then. And this one is sticking to what we've had all season. 3 at the back or 5 at the back, whatever you want to call it, 2 wing backs. The reason that this is a possibility, in my opinion, is that Eddie Howe might look at the team and think, actually, do you know what? We can't change everything straight away. And he might just say, look, these players are used to playing with 5 defenders. Maybe that's the best way to start and then try and build it up from there. We know that over time he's going to want to imprint his own mark on it all. We get that. Maybe he will start with keeping it solid at the back because he'll be absolutely desperate for us not to concede too many goals and tighten it up. In this example, even though it's 5 at the back, you've brought in Cher and Fernandez there, which are big improvements, in my opinion, to Clark and Kraft. Now, Kraft hasn't particularly done anything wrong. I just don't think he's as good as those players. That's a more solid back 3. Then you've got Ritchie and Manquillo. Like I say, Ritchie is trusted by Howe. He knows him well. Ritchie can play that left-hand side wing back, no problem. I think in this kind of formation, he would get the nod ahead of Lewis, absolutely, every single day of the week. Then you've got Willock and Hayden in the centre again. Again, that gives you the balance of attack and defence. We need Hayden to step his game up though. You know, we are weak in central midfield. When I was looking through the squad and trying to figure these formations out, it really did strike me that our central midfielders are not brilliant. I mean, you know, Hayden, I've got a lot of time for Hayden. He's done good things for this club. Is he actually good enough? I don't think he is long term. I think he'll be off at some point. He nearly left a couple of years ago, of course. That leaves the forward 3. So then we've got St Max, Joe Linton and Wilson. And again, the thinking behind Joe Linton was the hold-up play in transition. And obviously with St Maximin and Wilson up front, that would be great. And Willock bombing forward as well. Out of all the 3 formations, this is the one that I think is least likely. I don't think personally that Eddie Howe will go for a 3 at the back. This is too similar to what we've had all season. And even if you change some of the personnel, the fact is you're not setting yourself up to play the way Eddie Howe wants to play football. And personally, my preferred choice of formation would be the first one, this one, the 4-1-4-1, where you can link up play more easily. You've got Cher guarding that back 4. We will, of course, see what Eddie Howe does on Saturday at 2 o'clock when the teams are released. Please, please, please let me know. What do you think? Do you think I've come anywhere close to what the formation and team will be like on Saturday? Or do you think I'm way off and you have got a different idea altogether? Let me know in the comments below. I would absolutely love for you to tell me what your team would be on Saturday when we play Brentford in Eddie Howe's first match in charge. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, consider hitting the like button and subscribing too, and I'll see you really soon for another video.